massive man who moves like a tight end, 6'7", like 330, 340. So I was listening to the PFF guys go over this. So they did say a lot of negatives about him. So it shows that, it's a firmly entrenched crush if you can hear a lot of negatives about a guy and still like him a lot. Because their negative for him is something that I think will not really play into a negative for us. What I mean by that is they call him the developmental tackle of the draft. That's what they called him. When he looks good, he looks amazing. And when he looks bad, it looks really bad. And the difference between that and the top tackles in the draft are when they look bad, it's a small error. When he looks bad, it's like, whoa, look, it's like really bad, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they said all this with a caveat. They said, although the inconsistencies do scare them, if you are confident in your O-line coaching on your NFL team, then this is the guy to take a chance on. If you think your coaching can develop him and make him look like the peak version of himself more often than not, then take a shot at him. And I personally trust our O-line room and our line coaching. I would not be surprised to still see us sign a vet. Remember this time last year, we didn't really have a tackle before the draft. Everyone was projecting us to get a tackle. We got rid of OBJ. We signed the Taylor thing. It was still really up in the air, right tackle, left tackle. No one really knew what we were doing there. We drafted Wanye in the third, and then we ended up still signing Don Smith after the draft. So although it looks like, you're looking at our depth charts like Wanye and that's it at left tackle, it looks like it's a shoe-in to get a tackle. I still wouldn't be surprised if we drafted a guy like this and then still signed a veteran left tackle, maybe Don Smith again for cheaper maybe. And keep in mind that the over-under in draft is 9.5 for tackle for offensive lineman in the first round. So,
wow.
Do the math on that. That's a lot. That's almost a third of the first round is going to be tackle or O-lineman. Sorry.
JD, your thoughts on Tyler Guyton?
So, as I said before, I like Tyler Guyton. I do believe that they're, without a doubt, are more talented guys. Not to crush on your crush. Okay?
No.
But I've said, he plays right tackle more so than he plays left. So trying to make a transition from right to left is a huge thing. It's huge. I don't think people realize exactly how hard of an issue that is. Wanye Morris that we got last year in the third round has had a year under his belt. He's got more experience now than a guy like this that needs the development. Well, Wanye Morris has been in the room getting the development, and he's a step ahead, a whole season ahead of my guy right here. And so, and he plays left. So that, to me, and you can still go get a Donovan Smith, right? You can still go do those things. But I mean, I like him. That's your crush, man. Shoot, you stick with your crush that you like. I mean, it's your girl, you want to take her to the dances, hey, you like our lover. So if you like this guy, he's a solid dude. My thing is, if you're going to take a guy in the first round, if this is what we think, this is your first round pick, right, Tage? Right?
Yeah,
correct?
Yeah.
It is that year of development. You already got a guy over there in Jawan Taylor. This guy's, he's definitely not touching the field. He's not. So we talking about Brock Bowers. To me, Brock Bowers, I'm just going back to him. He's playing. When you come here, start running routes, you are going to play. You are playing at least 50% of the snaps. This guy right here is going to be eating cheesesteaks and fries, just kind of watching from the background until somebody gets hurt. Then it's his time.
Yeah.
Like Wanye Morris did when Donovan Smith got hurt.
Yeah.
So if you put all your time into a guy that's going to be right tackle, another guy that you're paying $20 million a year to, in Jawan Taylor, he's not going to sniff the field. Yeah, you could develop him. What he's going to develop into? I just know Wanye Morris has that year. He's going to be a left tackle right now until Donovan Smith comes back or whoever else you get. But as a coach who coached O-line before, hey, man, I'm going with the guy that's been here. The guy I trust. If I had to put my time in, not saying I won't put my time into this guy, I will. But then I had to think about moving him all the way from the right, changing him over to the left, and then teaching him his whole body skills over the left side. So now I got to take your deficiencies you had on the right, put them over to the left, and still work on some of those things that you wasn't getting good or were doing well. So
he's got the athleticism, though. So the long arms and the athleticism and the size, I think he can make. From what I've read and heard, he can make the transition to left, and it wouldn't be a problem with his makeup, athleticism. And they say he can play tight end. That's how quick his feet are. They're saying is athletic. I heard one of the comps for him, I believe, was Tyron Smith was one of his comps when he looks like his peak.
Yeah,
he can look bad. He can look bad too. But when he looks good, it's like this guy could be our guy for 10 years type thing.
Do they have a comp of what he looks like when he's like bad? Because he said like when he's really good, he's really good. When he's bad, he's really bad. Like, what's the comp there?
Well, you got to understand, like these guys, we're at 32 guys, so like there's a reason why his crush you have to trade up 10 spots for, right?
Right, but there's certain positions though that like let's say if we want to draft receiver, that receiver is going to play. We're going to see that guy. This guy may never see the field this year.
And we'll get to receiver in a moment, I believe, at least with one of mine. But receiver is also the deepest in like the draft. So like
tackle, but tackle is deep too, though.
It is, but like I've read that the 15th best receiver is small difference from the 5th best receiver in this draft. Once you get out of the top 3, so that's different for tackles, man. Like tackles, those two guys put in front of Alt is Alt. Alt's in like a standalone himself. He's a 6'9" left tackle. He's ready to go and protect your guy. When you get to this stage, you have the legit left tackles. You have the right tackles you hope that can transition to be left tackle. And then you have the projects, which are usually in that range also. The projects are with the guys like Guyton and Kingsley. They're not ready to be. If you gave Guyton one more year in college playing the position, he's like a top 12 pick. So forget about even sniffing him at that point, right? The only reason he's drafted as high as he might get drafted is because he's shown that potential in his size and athleticism. So he's got questions, or else we wouldn't even be able to look at him. If he didn't have these questions, forget about it. It comes down to these guys have flaws. Is your team suited to fix those flaws? That's why I like us. If we were like a bad team ready to put him in at starter, I wouldn't be recommending this pick at all. It's not. It's the crush is about him and situation kind of mixed into one. Like I like our situation for him because we have great O-line coaching that can fix those problems. And then there you go. Your 32nd pick overall left tackle became like a top 15 type left tackle.
So, okay. So I'll say yes. I've evaluated the tackles, the top ones in this draft. John Alt is head and shoulders above everybody else.
Oh, yeah.
When I'm saying this, I'm talking about the amount of talent after that drops significantly. And so when I'm sitting here, teams may need left tackles or right tackles. They need tackles because it's a need.
Yes.
But I'm saying the skill wise, from what I see, it's not going to be different from any like the draft last year. So when I say that, when I'm looking at the tackles that played last year, that got drafted in the first round, the top 5, 2 of those guys played guard. The other 3 struggled.
Yeah.
They struggled. And so when I'm looking at the evaluation, I'm looking at his feet, I'm looking at your hands. These tackles, man, it's going to be
it's tough.
It is. It's man, and then having to consider changing the guy from right to left. To me, man, I get people say they're athletic, and I'm like, okay, he's athletic. Well, who's he going against? How athletic is that guy?
Yeah.
Now you put him over here for something he hadn't seen before. It's going to be a whole different animal to him.
Yeah.
So shoot, Wanye Morris is playing left tackle, and he gets beat by a man from, everybody from Oakland. Let me put it that, not Oakland, but Las Vegas. That'd be from everybody from Las Vegas.
Oakland DL.
Yeah, right.
Oakland insert player.
Yeah. So that's the only thing I say, because when I look at these tackles down for this draft, man, I see issues. I see a whole lot of issues there. I really do. He's at the bottom of my list, and the only reason he's bottom of my list because he's the right side. He's a right side guy. Shoot, we try to get the guys on the left side even to play good. You know what I mean? Like I got questions about the guys that actually play that position. So that's what I hate sometimes when I'm looking at these draft, that they never put him in like left tackle or right tackle. I'm like, why are you not doing this? How are you not even consider how big of a difference it is playing right and left tackle? Right? I just think they look at hands and athletic ability. They never think about, like, when you switch guys to right and left, how much of a difference it really is.
Well, they talked about this on the PFF show, and they said it's just so hard to evaluate a lot of these guys because offenses do so different from college to the pros. And a lot of things they're going to be asked to do in the pros, they were not asked to do in college. So when you're evaluating them almost with a pro lens, but you're evaluating college play. So it's hard to do that with a lot of these guys. And with O-line, there's guys all over the line that are going to be already slated to play guard or already slated to play center. Like, oh, he's a guard in this league. Just sign it away. He's a guard. Even though he played his entire career at right tackle, he's a right guard now. And that's just that. They signed him up for that. That's how he's going to be drafted. That's how he's going to be used. And they just feel like that guy's skill set can transfer over to this. And again, I say this not putting him out there on an island on left tackle for year one. He is going to sit behind people. I already feel like we're going to get a vet anyway. So, if we get a vet and draft him, I wouldn't mind it because I think he can be coached up to where we like him to be.
Okay. But, and what I'm doing, I'm saying this about the overall just tackle the whole business in itself, right? Because as hard as it was in college, it's going to be even harder in the NFL.
Yeah.
Like tons. And so you could be all SEC. Like we had Darian Kennard. He was all SEC. He was going against the best players in the SEC, right? Alabama, LSU, all of them. Well, he's in Philly right now. We got him drafted. So that transition from these guys coming here, hey man, look, the learning curve is a whole different thing. It's a whole different thing. And I get sometimes these evaluators are sitting there like, oh, you got great hands. And I'm like, dude, have you been out on the field? Have you blocked a defensive end in the NFL before? I have. Several of them, the best in the business. And I see these guys coming out right now and how good they look. So I know it's going to be a struggle. And I get these guys going, because it could be anybody. It could really be anybody. I just know the levels of talent. Like if you have a tackle, I see maybe in this draft, I'm going to be honest with you. Tackle-wise, I see maybe 3 guys, maybe 3, if not the top 2 that I would get. Other than that, everybody else, backups, maybe year 2 or 3, third year, maybe. You know what I mean? Other than that, I won't start nobody else. This is me. This is me talking. Okay, it's me talking. So,
yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Andy Reid had a press conference earlier, and he says the team is looking at wide receiver and offensive tackle positions as an option in round 1, but adds it's a long wait until pick number 32. So,
yeah, who falls. Who falls.
Yeah.
The other guy to Georgia, Mims, is very similar to this too. Looks like a right tackle, quick feet, but only played like a handful of games this season. So you don't have tape on him. He looked great with the tape you saw, but you only have like a handful of games with him.
That's right.
So,
yeah. Right. And I like Mims before I like this guy because he is athletic. He's big. He's got all those different things.
Yeah.
But you never know how it's going to translate in the NFL. You just don't.
A lot of it at this pick for especially tackles, because so many are gone. I mean, it's over under 9.5, right? So we're 10 deep at this point. So that's a lot. 10 deep by 32 of a draft, even if it's deep, Marcus, 10 deep is a lot already crossed off the board before it even gets to our pick. You're looking at he looks the part. He's got flaws. Can our coaching get rid of those flaws? That's what I think what you're looking at 32 at a position like left tackle.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out the best clips from Chief Concerns. And if you prefer to listen to the show, subscribe and follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and anywhere else you get your podcasts.